Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I want to start by saying that, Mr. Speaker, on 30th of November, 2023, the Prime Cabinet Secretary was to appear in this House. And, Mr. Speaker, if you remember, he did not appear. And colleague and esteemed senators did pronounce themselves on the issue very strongly. But it appeared like it ended there. We did not take any action. And Mr. Speaker, I empathized with you because you even had today the whip, the majority whip, inviting us to the, inviting our attention to Standing Order number 51D, which, Mr. Speaker, says that the Senate may, where a Cabinet Secretary fails, without reasonable cause, and underline the word reasonable cause, to appear and respond to questions under this part, move a motion to censure the Cabinet Secretary. Now, I do understand that, Mr. Speaker, the requirement of this particular standing order is to the extent that the Speaker being a neutral figure running the House cannot initiate any action under that particular standing order. And therefore, it behooves my fellow colleague senators to actually take action. So what I would have wanted to see is perhaps Senator Mungatana or Senator Boni Aluale actually taking action and coming to this House and telling us, this is my motion to censor this particular CS for disrespecting this House and taking it forward. That's the way we should be moving as a Senate. And I wanted to protect you, Mr. Speaker. Now that you've protected us so many times this entire year, may I protect you on that? But then, I also wanted to observe that we as senators elected by the people are very reasonable people. That is why the word reasonable appears in that particular standing order. And therefore, we are not malicious. To the extent that if there is any CS that takes us seriously and takes us at our own estimate of the seriousness we bring in this country as a House, then they should be able to take us seriously. What do I mean by this, Mr. Speaker? I'm in possession of the 3 letters of the CSS who are supposed to be in this House today. And I will argue a case on which kind of CSS we should be able to censor and the ones that we should not be able to censor. Mr. Speaker, on 28th of February, 2024, the CS for transport, that is CS Kipchumba Murkomen, wrote a letter. And this letter, he did indicate, the title of it was, he was requesting for a rescheduling of appearance date before the Senate plenary. And his reasons were this. And, having accepted that he received a letter from this House dated 27th, meaning that he was responding on 28th, a day immediately after I received the letter from this Senate, he said that unfortunately the date of my scheduled appearance before the Senate coincides with a hearing in the matter of arbitration proceedings, that is the KU Railways Holding Limited versus the Republic of Kenya and the Republic of Uganda in London, which is an emerging issue that actually came. And Mr. Speaker, I'm privy to the fact that this particular letter was considered by SBC, and therefore, the understanding was reached at with this particular CS. A reasonable House as the Senate wouldn't censor this kind of CS because he has been respectful, he has wrote his letter on time, and indeed responded in a record time to the extent that SBC did deliberate on it. I don't see a problem with this, Mr. Speaker. The second is actually CS Chris Kipto, Daktari mwenyewe. It's a PS. He responded to the request for him to appear before this House And this reason also, I might invite the Senate to consider, which was, he will be out of country, that is, the CS will be out of the country, attending the 56th session of the Economic Commission for Africa and Annual Conference of African Ministries on Finance, this date. And Mr. Speaker, sitting on finance and budget and knowing how much we are struggling as a country to create a debt management strategy, this is a very important thing that the CS has to attend. And what impresses me is that he responded on 29th, it came to SBC, it was indeed considered, and communications were made. Now, Mr. Speaker, we have CS, Honorable Aisha Jumwa. I am privy to the fact that her letter came yesterday when the Senate already had adjourned to go home. These colleague senators had to come here today in the morning, knowing very well that we are expecting this CS. Now listen to the content of this letter, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of writing this letter is to confirm I forwarded the responses to the statement sought by Senator Amida Kibwana on gender-based violence in Kenya's political space. Further, due to conflicting schedule, I will not be able to attend the meeting scheduled to take place on Wednesday. The other colleagues, CSS, have indicated that they will desire to be here. They are requesting for a rescheduling of the meeting. And these are CS who tell you, I will not attend that meeting on the day that you want me to attend. My responses, I've given them to whoever asked me. They are not even recognized that these people are actually people who are representing the larger population. And therefore, if you find that my responses are not adequate enough, you can consider calling me back to the Senate. Mr. Speaker, Chapter 10 of the Constitution talk about 3 very serious C's that we as a House must then try to deliberate on. Number 1, it talks about a leader who holds public office to the magnitude that Honorable Aisha Jumwa holds, and even ourselves, must be a capable leader. Number 2, must be a competent leader. And number 3, must be a credible leader. All those C's are disputed by the content of this letter. This is the highest level of disrespect, not only to you as a speaker, but also to this House. So I hold the view that in response to the content of the letter that we have received from Honorable Aisha Jumwa, this House must then invite the content of Standing Order number 51. And a member of this House, and I want to wish the majority side the courage, especially the majority whip, that this afternoon, go draft a motion and bring into this House for the censorship of this particular minister. Because it's the highest level of disrespect. And I've shown you very clearly why the other 2 ministers, I will take their responses as a senator as first, reasonable, 2, respectful of the time of our speaker, and respectful of the time of this honorable House, and more importantly, accountable to the people of Kenya. But this is completely unacceptable. And I think for us to send a message of why we did make the decision to actually come with these particular standing orders, this CS must be censored. And if the majority whip does not take the courage to draft that censorship motion, and then number 2, the Senator for Nandi does not follow with the courage to try and do that censor motion, Mr. Speaker, I will take the courage and come with that censor motion. So that as a House, we send a message to CSS that we are not here to waste our time. Mr. Speaker, we have got so many bills, and again, amazing bills. I've read the bill by the senator for, the good senator from Mombasa, Senator Miraj, who actually cares about gender issues more than what the CS has done here in a place where violence is killing women in this country. And I need to be spending my time considering a motion, Mr. Speaker, a very good motion. And we have got so many other motions other bills that are very good in this House that we need to be spending our time discussing the absence of CSS every single time. So, Mr. Speaker, as I sit, I plead that this particular one needs a serious response from this House, and I hope that the majority side, led by the bullfighter, Senator Boni Aluale, will take action. But if they don't, then today or tomorrow, I will bring that motion, and I hope that the senators will reasonably find that motion very reasonable and very good for the people of Kenya and for this CSS. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kenywa.